Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We heard Maryam Nawaz speaking in Shujabad today. While talking about other things, she particularly mentioned the IT sector. She mentioned the incentives that the government has managed to give even during these difficult times in the budget that has just come out. We'll be talking a little bit about the relief measures that the budget has specifically given. One of the things she mentioned is, of course, the IT sector and the kind of relief that we want to see trickle down to the youth and measures that will then translate into employment for the youth. A little later on, we'll also be talking about overall political situation and what we can expect in the next couple of weeks. I have with me today Naveed Aman Khan, who's a political analyst. Thank you for being with us. We also have with us Dr. Nasir Iqbal, who's an economist. He's also head of PIDE MacroPolicy Lab. Thank you for joining us today. And we also have with us Qaisar Ahmad, sheikh, who's Chairman Standing Committee for Finance and Revenue from the PML-N. Thank you for being with us. Naveed sir, like we were earlier saying, one of the things that Maryam is also saying is the incentives that the government has managed to give even during these difficult times for the economy. One of them being IT. How do you overall look at subsidies on wheat, flour, ghee, pulses, overall increase in salaries also, measures like this in rates of allowances, daily mileage allowance, all of those things that are huge steps for us at this time, because we are at a very difficult time juncture. How do you look at that? We also saw the Prime Minister say categorically that all the conditionalities as far as the IMF are concerned have been fulfilled as far as the government is concerned, and for all intents and purposes the government is quite hopeful that we will have an affirmative result from the IMF.
Definitely, Mahrukh. The government is very optimistic and very positive as far as the IMF is concerned. The government will be comfortable within a couple of weeks with the IMF. As far as the declaration or announcement of the budget is concerned, the government in such difficult circumstances has tried to give maximum relief to the common man, and that is why they have increased the wages of a common man up to 32,000, and 35% salaries increased from 1 grade to 16, and 17.5% pension is increased, and this is a big hope for the salaried class people in the federation, and definitely all the provinces will also follow this precedent and give the provincial employees the same sort of relief. As far as the commodities of life or the day-to-day the things are concerned, like pulses or the wheat or flour or oil or ghee, like these should be addressed subsequently. And the government has definitely tried its best to give the best of its what they can do before going to the elections.
Fair enough. Let me come back. I'm going to go to Dr. Nasir. Dr. Nasir, yes, it's being called a populist budget, it's being called a pro-people budget, but the question is that the government has little room at this time to maneuver things, and the kind of room that it has in that to give out these kind of measures, which have also been shared, the figures according to the finance minister, with the IMF also. It's not a small feat at all, if you look at the overall situation. But in your opinion, as an economist, how do you see things as far as the trend is concerned now that there is, overall seems, political stability, things may be headed in the right direction? How are you looking at things?
Yeah, thank you so much. If we look into the budget, there are two perspectives for this budget. One is the election year, that would be one side of this budget, another is IMF. The government tried to create some sort of balance between these two approaches, because we are very short of foreign reserve, so we have to meet the conditionality of the IMF. On the other hand, this massive inflation, around 30 above percent inflation, would also need to give some sort of incentive to common people as well. So they try to create some sort of balance between these two approaches. Let me give you the few examples where government actually try to pin down few things for the common people as well, and also to meet the conditionality of the IMF. So this target of 7 trillion revenue collection would be the one of the step forward in terms of making sure that they meet the enough revenue. On the other hand, like there is no space for government to actually give maximum incentive to people. Like around 7 trillion will goes directly to the debt servicing. That is one of the chunk that major government have to pay. Apart from this, like this 450 billion allocation to this social protection program is one of the major milestone that government with this tough situation basically promised to the countrymen that they can actually help you in terms of different way. But of course, there are ways to improve this budget allocation with the limited resources. We can't say that the pie is very large. The pie that is available to distribute among the common man is very small.
Okay.
Given that small pie, so now the government have to shift their priorities little bit. Let me give you the few examples related to that. Like this 450 billion is allocation for unconditional cash transfer program, but it can be optimally used for other purposes. Like with this 450 billion, and if you are targeting 9 million population across the country, it might not help to achieve the objective of consumption smoothing. But if you go back and see, like you target only 3 or 4 million people with the higher stipend rate, then probably you give them a much better picture and much better consumption support, giving the inflation
but
that
for
we
example,
have.
if you look at the pension fund, the way that it's been made contributory, isn't that taking a lot of a burden off of the exchequer, because otherwise, it would be extremely difficult to manage pensions at all.
Yeah, I think it is one of the major policy decision by the government and PIDE over the last few years advocating about this type of shift, because the pension wouldn't be sustainable for us in near future. So you have to make a shift, and I think it is one of the best policy measure taken by the government to actually make it a contributory system.
Revolutionary in a lot of ways. Let me come back and talk more about this. I'm going to go to Qaisar Sahab. Ji, Qaisar Sahab, can you hear me? Ji, Qaisar Sahab? I think there's a problem with audio. Ji, Naveed Sahab, there's a problem with audio, but overall, as far as the situation at this time is concerned, like I said, measures like the pension fund that we're talking about, when we look at the overall palette, do you think it's going to lead to certainty? You think it's going to lead to economic certainty, like the political certainty that we are now looking at? Political stability, I think, is the right word. Do you think it's going to translate into economic stability? Because of course we are ultimately looking at investor confidence, we are looking at money coming in, and we look at overseas Pakistanis, there are measures that have been taken in that regard also to infuse confidence so that we get remittances also.
Definitely, Manur, if the political stability comes in the country, definitely the economic stability will be there in the country. We'll be having economic stability. The foreign investors, the foreign remittances, the IMF installments, and the tax collection of FBR and the concerned departments who will manage all these expenditures. Will have to enhance the capabilities and potentials of FBR for the tax collection. Unless we enhance the number of the tax collection or the tax net, we enhance the number of tax net, we cannot meet the expenditures. So the 9,200 billion rupees is our estimated tax collection money, which I think Pakistan and FBR can make it, and we can enhance it even more than 10,000. And it is not a difficult job for the department if we are concerned and if we are committed to.
Let me come back to you. Ji, Qaisar Sahab, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Ji, Qaisar Sahab, we are looking at this time the kind of budget that we are looking at. There are questions that are being asked as far as saying that it's a populist budget, saying that is it going to yield the kind of results that the government is hoping for? Is it going to be sustainable in the long term? How do you respond to that?
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Mahrukh, it's a question which has to be debated thoroughly because you see, it all depends on the rate of inflation. Presently, this year, estimated FBR. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Can I? Okay. Can you hear me?
Ji, I can hear you.
So,
Ji.
present estimated PR revenue this year is 7,200 billion, and next year estimate is 9,200 billion. Now it all depends. You see, present rate of inflation is more than 36, 37%. So we have estimated next year inflation rate at 21%, and then there's a growth rate of 3.5%. So collectively, altogether, even if we don't impose new taxes, 24.5% increase is due to inflation and growth, and that makes about more than 9,000 billion of tax. So actually, potential of taxation is much more. In my opinion, there is a huge, huge gap in revenue we could not collect. There's potential is, you see, more than about 13,000 billion. I feel 4,000 billion is being non-collection of tax. It is, you can see it's corruption, or you can see it's evasion of taxes, or many other reasons. Smuggling is there. So we would have, and this is not first year that we are discussing about this or estimating this type of loss in revenues. You see, our neighboring countries are getting more than about 11 or 12% of their GDP as tax, their FBR taxes, and our collection is 8.5%. Even 10 years ago, our GDP ratio was much bigger for the taxes. So the potential is there, and of course, if we have more revenues, only then we can spend more. In this budget, you must have noticed that there is about 6,500 deficit, fiscal deficit, 6,500 billion of rupees. And even this year, it was a 7,000 deficit in the budget, 7,000 billion rupees. So it is more than about 7% of our GDP. So this is the cause of the inflation, and we cannot devote, because this was the election year, mainly spending is on salaries, but some emphasis has been given to public in this budget. Like we made more emphasis on IT, and then on SME loans. We emphasize, because banks are reluctant to offer SMEs loans, and if government has pledged this in this budget, that if banks are not giving loans to SMEs, and if they feel a risk in giving loans, then 20% of that risk will be covered by the government. So this is the first time that the government has taken undertaking that the loss of giving loans to SMEs will be undertaken by the government. Similarly, there has been increase in the Benazir income support program, and some about 50,000 tube wells are going to be on solar. So this is a new direction, that the funds have been allocated to general public rather to only some big industrialists, or to the exploiting class, or those who have already got loans from the banks. Because presently
Trickle down. Kaisar Sahab, you feel that it's going to trickle down to smaller farmers, to, actually the lower strata of society, rather than just, to, like you said, bigger businessmen or people who already, have enough on their plate. That is what it's targeting, right?
Our target is like this. I don't know how far we succeed in it, but this was the first budget that I was myself involved, and I always give emphasis to SME sector. That is the engine of growth. Presently in Pakistan, only 7% loan is given to SMEs and growers, small growers, and balance 93% goes to the few large industrialists, traders, or big landlords. So, and this time, although we don't have much allocation of funds, as our economic condition is not so so easy that we could give them loans on easy terms like less credit. But still, this is the first budget, in my opinion, in which the diversion of our attention has been more toward the public, and that the trickle down, which you mentioned, the particular word, that
question is that are you going to be able to meet these requirements? We are still waiting. Of course, the Prime Minister said today that the IMF conditionalities have been met, and we are hopeful that it will come through. But does the government feel that they can manage to meet these requirements?
I don't think that IMF is very satisfied. You see, they have a long list of their conditionalities. Many conditions have been fulfilled, but still they feel that the $6 billion financing is to be covered. And up to now, we could not guarantee that investment of $6 billion. That's a huge investment. So that those are the indicators. We have formulated our budget according to the conditionalities of IMF, and we don't want to divert our attention to any other side. But you see, it is becoming more and more difficult. It is not so easy because our imports are being restricted, and then our revenues are also restricted, and our both the current account deficit and also the fiscal deficit, both are increasing, and it's not so easy. And as we have restricted our imports, and less goods are raw materials are being imported, so we are also facing a problem of unemployment. So all these things, IMF is required. We need the endorsement of IMF. So I think that we have done already, and we should continue to be flexible on the conditionalities of IMF, because without IMF fulfillment of this staff level agreement, I think we will feel more difficult for the people of Pakistan, and the inflation rate will further be enhanced, and there is every likelihood of depreciation.
Let me come back to you, Qaisar. Naveed sir, you know, we've been talking about IMF for a while. We've seen this budget also. There were categorical questions that were given to the government, the Prime Minister, the Finance Minister about the IMF. Isn't it, how do you perceive the fact that, you know, it seems to be a largely political decision now, as far as political considerations seem to be at play as far as IMF is concerned, because I have now satisfied them in every regard. We've shared our figures with them. It is now, you know, quite official. Isn't that true? It seems to be more political now.
It is a political decision, but you know, it is administrative on IMF point of view as well. Okay. Because from the Pakistan point of view, we have done our work completely. We have fulfilled all the requirements and the conditions of IMF. Now it is IMF who will go to finally release the installment to Pakistan. The reasons which are hindering or hindered in the way of IMF are the political instability of Pakistan. And we are marching towards the stability. And I'm sure that within a month or so, Pakistan will be politically in a very, very better position as compared to the May or April month of this year. Now, the things are smooth with IMF and the government, and we both, the journalists or the analysts, we are hopeful that the installment will be released within a couple of weeks.
Fair enough. Let me go to Dr. Nasir. Dr. Nasir, IMF also, and you know, of course, other considerations, but at this time, as far as exemptions in the budget are concerned, whether custom duties are concerned, in terms of, you know, trying to rejuvenate our industrial base, how are you looking at the measures there? Because, you know, we've seen a fledgling industry overall. The situation isn't great there.
Yeah, I think I continue with this argument of the political stability. That is very important. PIDE conducted a study that showed around 3 to 4% GDP loss is occurred due to any event. So if there is any political uncertainty event, the main thing that it hurt is your FDI.
Okay.
So we are struggling with the FDI. There is, even within this budget, there is no promise to investors that how they can come up with some sort of these things. So the political stability is the key for everything. Even the IMF decision would be live with the political stability. As that there are some chances that maybe in the coming month we are heading toward the more stable the political and economic environment, in a way that the government tenure is almost close to end, and then the next government maybe take it to at the next step. So these are the underlying factors that push us toward this high inflation, high deficit, and the other thing like that. And government make a very rational this budget in a way that they try to create a balance between the different elements. Like the one is, I said, this is the election year, then they have to make people like more happy with the budget, and also the suffering with the international recessions and also with the inflation. They try to create some sort of incentive for these people as well. These exemption always part of some sort of budget, so there is not much room to government that they can actually leverage to any industry in this budget, specifically in this budget. So with the few example, like they give some sort of incentive to IT sector, that is good for us, because the IT sector has some sort of potential to expand over the coming year. So it will be a one of source to attract foreign reserve for us as well. So this is the one part of thing there. On the other hand, if we look into the way that they say the investment to the solarization of the economy, that could be also linked with the international conditionality that you have to meet the climate resilience economy, and you have to work from that as well. So based on that, I was working on how we can revamp this whole phenomena. I come up with like a Pakistan growth model that based on the 5 Ps, where basically I put 5 different pillars that give us some sort of hope. First is that the pillar is the people. People would be the key priority for any country. If we really want to grow, we have to invest on education, we have to invest on healthcare. So these should be the 2 priorities. So government can channelize some resources by diverting, like.
You think that more
Dr.
resources
Nasir,
should perhaps have been
Mahrukh,
channelized?
unfortunately, you are mentioning about the health and education, but unfortunately in this budget, the government has allocated 82 billion for education and 26 billion for health. The least amount is allocated for these 2 sectors, which should have been far bigger amount. And I don't think if any government decides up to this level, and you can win any very important goals. One more thing.
So you're saying that needs to go up, but the point is
Absolutely.
again, like you know, Dr. Nasir is saying, it's about the size of the pie also, right?
Yeah.
And, and they have to prioritize within what is available.
So that could be the one challenge for government. Like there are various avenues. PIDE done a lot of work on it, from where we can actually extract resources. Like for example, one example could be we are like 50 billion investing on utility store corporation, but it has nothing to do with the welfare of the people. So mainly these utility store are located in the urban area where poverty is relatively low.
So you're saying it should be the concentration should be in the rural
that 50
areas
billion could be goes to R&D sector, could be go to the health sector, because these are the 2 main pillars.
Let's ask Qaisar Sahab about this. Qaisar Sahab, why is there such, you know, as far as prioritizing sectors is concerned, we understand that it's a question of resources, but as far as education and health is concerned, they seem to be the least prioritized sectors. How would you respond to this?
Yes, you are very right. You see, up to now, we have not given more emphasis on education and health. That is the more important sector. Up to now, our emphasis is clear to us. You see, budget deficit is such a big amount. Now, even last year, we are in this next year budget, we are spending more than 7,000 billion on debt service. So, but for although the health and education is provincial subjects, and center is allocating funds to provinces, still we should have given emphasis on this sector. This is the sector where we can, because we have millions of brains with us. We could train them for good education. Now I have my own experience. I am since last 35 years in board of directors of IT West University of Pakistan, that Fast National University. So I know that when a student is graduated in that IT, people they are immediately getting jobs, and there's opportunities of even if our graduates are going abroad, they are sending remittance. We have recently, last about 10 years ago, we have established a campus, university campus in Chenyot, in my constituency. I arranged for that. And you see, that is a very successful campus. And why can't we made investments on that education and health? When Pakistan came into existence, Dow Medical College and King Edward College were there. Similarly, we could not had established.
I think Qaisar Sahab, we've lost audio. Again, Qaisar Sahab is saying that, you know, perhaps we need to go towards the private. What about the private sector primarily? Naveed Sahab, you know, mobilizing the private sector, there's been an effort since this government came in to, to interact with the business community, to get them to, of course, incentivize them. Do you think that that's going to yield results also?
Definitely, Mahrukh. But one more important thing is what we have been discussing earlier about the stability of the country.
Yes.
You would remember a couple of months back when Chinese foreign minister visited Pakistan, and when the IMF delegation was negotiating with the government, on both occasions, the foreign minister advised Pakistan or suggested Pakistan or Pakistani politicians to pay attention towards the political stability of the country. He categorically mentioned that Pakistan is not politically stable, and we need to pay attention towards the stability of the country. Same statement was given by the IMF delegation, and they told that our priority is not that in the right direction. We need to focus on the unprivileged class or unprivileged sector, class of the society, rather than to address the privileged class of the society in the budget. Unless we gain the political stability in the country, we cannot mobilize the foreign investors or the investors of the country in the economic sector. The most important thing is to go for the dialogues, to find the ways out, and to find the solutions of the political matters and settle down the things. It will really create that atmosphere which is very, very suitable for the investment. And
it seems like we're moving towards political stability.
Yeah, definitely. Now, after 9/5, and now we are in that direction that we may gain this goal within a couple of months. I mean, the destination is not too far.
Dr. Nasir, what about the youth? There are incentives here for the youth. That is something that's really been concentrated on as far as the capital is concerned. Of course, that is our ultimate capital. Do you think that also has been tapped into as far as the budget is concerned?
Yeah, if we look into the way how we can grow, that's the bigger question for everyone, how we can grow. The growth would come with the private sector, and private sector basically based on the youth and the human capital that we have. So though the budget touches to some extent to provide incentive through this laptop scheme to other things like that, but my take is that if we really want to harness the benefit of our youth, we have to think differently. One, we have to redefine the role of universities, what actually they are producing. If we look into the productivity of the graduates, the way they contribute to the society, we are unfortunately lacking from other countries as well. So their human capital is lacking in terms of their innovation, in terms of thinking. So in that context, we have
to. But our youth does so much. I mean, when there's a brain drain here, also that has to be curtailed. That has to
if we look into the way that if one person has a good brain and he was thinking, he always go abroad because there are a lot of opportunities are there. As I said, the political stability is the key for all these things. So if we redefine the role of this university, that come up with another solution where actually we can produce a graduate that contribute to the society. That is one lacking point. In this budget, it's not touched upon that. And the other thing, how we can make sure that we can produce entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
In that way, we also challenge, we also need to revisit the role of our technical vocational institute as well. So, to me, if we really want to harness the potential of our youth, we have to think on these two pillars. One is the universities, another the technical vocational institute. If I'll be blunt, I say we close half of the universities from the country because they are producing chunk. Nothing, they are not contributing, and even the graduate, those are have a degree, even with a PhD degree, they even can't understand the economic or social issues. So
if you look at the result of CSS today,
Yes. Of course,
I think
there's a
393 students they were successful out of thousands. I mean,
at PIDE we called it universities without professors. So look into the dynamics of these universities. They are basically a business maker, not like universities that actually give a knowledge to these people. So these are
so
the
you're
points.
saying, but those are again things, reforms that are needed in the educational sector.
Yeah.
Overall,
Yes.
as far as okay, fair enough. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Nasir. Thank you for giving us your valuable input as far as economy is concerned. I want to move a little bit to the economic side also. Sorry, political side also. Qaisar Sahab, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mahrukh.
A new parties being formed. You know, we've seen since a couple of weeks a lot of movement, a lot of joinings. There is clearly, you know, a lot of political, well, mayhem. One wouldn't like to call it, but movement certainly. How do you look at these developments as far as you know, these joinings, resignations from the PTI is concerned, new party formations, the elections just around the corner? What is your overall opinion about of the way things will pan out in the future, very near future now?
What happened on the 9th May, you see there is no potential of PTI in the political arena now, because people are in much much against PTI. What they did on 9th May, they are thinking that this is not a party which is for the country's benefit. They cannot deliver. People feel like it, and they are against the party. So those who were in PTI, those politicians, they had to go to some other party. But there is, particularly when we discuss about Punjab, there is not much potential for PML-N, that we have already most of our candidates in constituencies. So those formulated a new party, but this new party, Aman Pakistan, we feel it is not so easy to face the old established parties in elections, and elections are very near. It is to be held in...
the former Prime Minister and Chief of PTI seems to think that he says whoever he gives his, you know, his ticket to, and will contest, and he says that he's confident that they will be able to give a tough time. How would you respond to that?
In my opinion, he is not a seasoned politician. He feels what the people ask him, and whatever is their comments. It's not so easy to contest in elections. I have been contesting since last 30 years. It is my 7th election. I'm going to, inshallah, contest this year. So you see, there must be some working in the constituencies. The candidate is very important, always very important, particularly in Pakistan, in the rural areas. You see, there is a culture of having meetings and going to...
I think his banner will not sail through.
I feel that if the leader feels the president of PTI, chairman, he feels that only on his name or PTI name people will get the vote. You see, it is not so easy. In our constituencies, we have seen that when he fielded the candidates, some new candidates, they are not getting attraction from the people. So let's see. But in my opinion, the PTI, if they field new candidates, they will come to know about it. And after the elections, they will find that their thinking was not realistic. Most of the candidates, they have already left. Why those candidates are leaving the party? They are not seeing any potential in PTI. That's why even their founder members, even their own members, since beginning they were with the leader of PTI. Why they are leaving? Why are they are leaving that party and not joining a new party? So it's not so
They're
easy.
being forced to leave.
So I feel that this Tehrik Pakistan, this new party, they will also contest their against PTI. So they will face their own members who are there. They will be candidates against their candidates of PTI. So it's in Punjab there's an interesting contest between 4 or 5 parties now. We are looking for that, and I think
To a lot of division as far as the vote bank is concerned. It's going to lead to like you saying, there's going to mean more candidates, so there's going to be vote division, right?
There will be no division, and the division will be among the PTI candidates. You see, in PTI, they will have 2 or 3 candidates from the same party, and already it's very difficult for them. And in Punjab, you see, it's not so easy to that just you are facing with some party or some slogan, and because and people are not feeling good on the incident of 9th May. They feel it is against Pakistan. You see anything which people feel that any party is working against Pakistan, they are not getting any votes. I'm sure about it. PML-N has a fair chance in next elections.
Fair enough. Kaisar Sahab, we have with us Sharmila Farooqi from the PPP. Ji, Sharmila, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear.
Ji, Sharmila, what about this? What is your opinion about this new landscape, this political landscape that's now forming with new additional parties? We are also looking at vote division that's likely to happen when there are so many parties in the field. What does the PPP feel about that? We're also looking at the former Prime Minister, former President Asif Ali Zardari Saab making inroads in Punjab. What is your overall take on what will happen as far as Punjab is concerned?
Thank you so much. Well, the beauty of democracy is that when there's a functional democracy in the country, people have, the authority to make choices. And it's very important to make relevant and informed choices about your political future. What I feel is that as far as People's Party is concerned, there was always a question about the fact that, why isn't People's Party making inroads in Punjab, or why isn't People's Party reviving itself, its old roots in Punjab? So I feel now is the right time, and since President Zardari Saab is there and his political acumen, I mean, everybody believes that, and it's been proved that the political acumen that he has and the foresight that he has is second to none. So his presence being there and so many people now joining Pakistan People's Party is a good sign. I think this is a revival of People's Party in Punjab. About the fact that the new party, another party being formed in Punjab, the PTI, the leftovers. I feel, everybody has a right to make their political choices, but I don't know how successful it's going to be. I think the elections will be a test case for them, whether they are able to, get some seats or not. I mean, we saw this Mustafa Kamal's party being made in Karachi, but they did not even manage to win a single seat. Even Mustafa Kamal himself lost his seat.
How confident are you with what's happening as far as the mayor election in Karachi is concerned, as far as the PPP is concerned? Is it going to go your way? How confident is the PPP?
Well, I think we are very confident because we have the numbers. And I think People's Party rightly deserves a mayor because we really worked hard in Karachi as far as development is concerned, campaigning is concerned. And we really feel that, and we're very thankful to the people of Karachi that they believed in us and they appreciated our work and they voted for us. So I think it's People's Party's right to have its mayor. So I think very soon we'll have a mayor from People's Party.
Thank you so much for your time. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Thank you for joining us, Sharmila Farooqi, Naveed Aman Khan Saab, thank you for being with us. Dr. Nasir Iqbal, thank you for joining us. Qaisar Ahmad Sheikh Saab, thank you for being with us today. Overall, of course, as far as the budget is concerned, the government maintains that they have done the best with what they had in the kind of political and economic climate that at this time exists in the country. They also said categorically that there is a baggage of the last government with reneged promises as far as the IMF is concerned, with bad decisions as far as the economy is concerned, which are now bearing fruit and unfortunately proving to be a problem for the current government. They are trying to set the right course, they are trying to steer the country in the right direction so that we can have an economy which is ultimately going to be on the kind of path to success, the kind of path to prosperity we would like to see for the people of this country. Let's hope that we can move towards that. And of course, like Sharmila Farooqi also said and Qaisar Saab said, of course, every person democratically has the right to form parties, and we will know how challenging it is for any new party in the field to make the kind of inroads that will invariably be needed for any kind of credible political capital in the future elections. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.